when that spark happens of just like, ooh, that's a base. And once I get sometimes 2 images just together, gets that excitement going for me. Found it, I like it, let's see where this goes. So I come from a music background, always been into punk music, indie rock, and a lot of that aesthetic is just DIY, making your own stuff. Hey, if like they won't book us in the venue, you have the show in the house. So earliest forms of collaging I did were just throwing things together. We have a show here. Oh, let me write my band name out by hand, write the other 3 names out, cut them out, slap them on. Collecting the material for collages, I would say, is part of the fun and the hunt of it all. When you really get into it, people are trying to clean out old basements, old attics, old classrooms. So something that was going to go into the landfill and giving it a second life. Big fan of actually this Saturday, the local library's got a book sale, going to flea markets here and there and just keeping an eye out. So I've definitely gotten some materials that I'm like, I don't know if I want to cut up this 1950s popular science magazine because that in itself is so cool. But I've gotten to the point too where I'm like, I'm okay. This image is going to make me feel better cutting it. What am I going to do? Sit around and read a 50s popular science magazine? Probably not. Part of like what's in my head sometimes with collaging is that you're using other images. You're using a photograph, a painting, something that has been created by somebody else and has been put out there. There's times I'll put something in and I'll be like, that's literally just a famous picture, and I put like 1 or 2 things over it. Does that make it art? Sure, it can be. I want it to be to speak from my own vision too, and not just like I found the coolest picture from like National Geographic that millions of people have seen, but like how am I gonna make it my own? And that's another thing too with like getting into collaging, looking at other people's collages. There's no parameter that needs to be set for what you need to do. So there was definitely a point too when I was getting into it where I was like, is less more or is more better? And it's really up to the artist or really up to you when it feels right. I will sometimes just grab 20, throw them on the table, and start flipping through them. Other times I'll set myself with like, oh, I'm feeling a little like, let me give myself a challenge and I'll grab 3 magazines without looking. Other times, you know, I'll be like, I'm really in the mood. I have an itch to have like kind of an 80s theme. For me, and I think a lot of people, it's an image that sparks an idea. You can go into collaging with an idea, but for me, a lot of times with collaging, there's a jumping off point. There's an ad that sets you, oh, I like this ad that I just read. I'm gonna use this image, and it just goes in a total different direction, or I just see where it takes me. So you have that kind of visual advantage, at least for me, that gets the wheels turning on what this piece can be rather than just staring at a blank canvas. I think initially a lot of times, and even me when I got into collaging, was kind of like playing by the rules. You see an image, I have to cut exactly that. I think when I started to do a few more pieces, I realized like maybe I'm cutting around somebody's like long flowing hair. Initially, I'm following the exact outline of the hair. I can cut into it a little bit or make a slight wave, and it looks a little more natural. Maybe I don't need a whole person's body in it. Do I need their shoes? No, I could cut them off at the legs and put something over it because the shoes, when you cut them out, look weird. Getting around the idea that you have to just use exactly what's on the page sometimes seems like obvious, but until you get in there and kind of feel like what works for you was more freeing. Then, you know, the actual process for collaging for me is kind of finding that like, am I trying to say something? You don't always have to say something. Some of my favorite pieces I've made are total nonsense that make me laugh. Some of them are just total nonsense. Some of them I look at it and go, oh, wait, I made that? That's like, I love those colors together. I love those images together. I've posted collages that I've thought as being a serious piece, and then I've had people be like, this is awesome, like cracking up, and I'd be like, it is kind of funny. A lot of times people do go towards the retro style. Bottom line, I think that looks cooler than new stuff for me. Like, I visually gravitate more towards like earthier tones sometimes. I will use contemporary magazines a lot. Sometimes I like to put just something super new from the last 5 years and with like something from the 60s and see what it evokes in me, what I come up with. For me, knowing like what's a good piece or when it feels done is just having it's that feeling. It's done, I like it, stop adding to it. I definitely have some that are like 3. People will use 2 things, just boom, boom, and really makes an impact. There's really no boundaries. It's all about what you like and what speaks to you until you kind of find that footing. And if you don't like it, you don't have to show it to anybody. I like to keep even the bad ones I don't, and I've already taken collages apart and worked them into new ones. I will see advertisements now like a little bit differently, or just, you know, I'll randomly see things in the world and I'll be like, boom, 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 I could put that together. And I'm like, oh, that's that like now collaging part of my mind. This opened up a whole new world for me of like creativity and getting it out there and some, you know, like personal therapy of just, I made it, it's mine and it's out there, but it's really open-ended, and it's just, you know, my advice to anybody getting started. Grab some magazines, open it up, take some quiet time for yourself, and see where it goes.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to discover more hobbies and visit notjustahobby.com to learn more.